This is a new tool I'm going to be putting on eBay. I'll put a link in the description for you. And it's just a simple extruded aluminum bar with some milling on it. And it does a real good job of giving you the option of torquing your action without grabbing it with like an action wrench. And I used it on all of these. I use it all the time in the field when I'm doing rimage barrel swapping. I'll just take the bar and my barrel nut wrench and a crescent wrench, and I'll swap barrels, testing 3 or 4 barrels or whatever at a time. And when I'm doing it in my shop, that's how this came about. I'm selling quite a few rimage barrel setups and rimage nuts, and guys are asking about tools and rentals and all that stuff. And PTG has a similar tool you can rent from one of the reamer rental places, but you're going to pay more to rent that than you are going to buy this. And then there's a few things I don't like about theirs. Theirs is steel, and I don't like the option of doing something wrong and hurting your action, whereas this is aluminum. It's so soft you really can't do that. They've got it's a much shorter tool, and it's got a hex back here that you run with a wrench. I don't like that for a few reasons. That works fine, and what they designed it for, if you've got a typical Remington type setup like your gunsmith, and you've got the barrel and a barrel vise. First of all, I've never used a barrel vise. I've always just used a hydraulic press, and I just use aluminum shims and a hydraulic press, and I can get as much purchase on the barrel that way with minimal damage to the finish as anything. And then I'll use this bar in the raceways. So you can see this is an axis, which is a long action Savage essentially, and it fits in there just fine. You're not gonna, there's no way you're gonna twist out of the raceways for the recoil or for the locking lugs. And of course, if it was short action, it would just stick out more. This is a short action Remington. It fits in there just fine. And then this is a long action Remington, and you can see how much length we've got here. So if you're going to mount this barrel in a barrel vise, or as in my case, which I think is a lot faster and better, is just a hydraulic press, then you just go ahead and slide this in your raceways, and then run this with a crescent wrench. When I'm doing either rimage barrels or axis barrels or Savage barrels, I mean, in the shop, I take this bar and I mount it horizontally in my hydraulic press, and then I'll slide my action upside down, and then I can watch all these bits and pieces, and I'll usually have a witness mark on the recoil lug if there's no pin in it, and I'll make a mark for my headspace, and then I can watch all that while I'm torquing it and make sure nothing moves. So, you know, like I said, that's how I do it. Works real well. If a guy had a regular bench vise, you could mount it vertically and do the same thing. If you're going to do a Remage or a Savage setup, just mount it vertically, and you're just watching the action from the side instead of the top. So pretty simple tool, but makes a big difference. If you've got the right tools, it's just way better. You're not going to damage anything. You don't scuff your finish and all that. And like I said, it's going to be cheap enough that if you just are going to swap your barrel once or twice, you still want to buy it, because, you know, if you get down the road and decide you want to change cartridges or whatever, you can do that without a big investment. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. If you have questions, if your rifle is not a Remage or a Savage, and it's a typical 90-degree throw, you know, recoil lug or a locking lug setup like this, I'll need the dimensions of the circle of the locking lugs, and then the thickness of this locking lug, and I can make a quick CAD drawing and see if it'll fit in there. So hopefully that makes sense. Get at me if you got questions. Thanks, guys.